very much for, it's just such a delight to be here. What a beautiful space. And I feel a bit cheeky coming from Bristol, but we don't have Creative Mornings, and I just really wanted to come and see and get involved and be inspired. So thanks for having me on board. I'm a creative director, as Melanie said, and I've worked in a bunch of different disciplines over the years. Starting in film and television, I quit my work at the BBC to go and be a photographer and follow that for a few years, and then I've been self-employed for like over 15 years now, and I've done graphic design, and it's gone round and round and round. So come back now to my work, which focuses on film and animation. There's chaos for you. I could just sit down now, but I want to talk to you about my life through that journey today. So my work as a designer has always echoed a fascination with letter forms and the brilliant potential that they have for conveying character. My film animation work really depends on great storytelling, and I quite often use expressive typography to communicate the feeling in narrative. I love injecting real humanity into my work. Sometimes a bit too much, my clients might say, but hey. I run my own business, and so I necessarily live a lot of my life online, and I find it an amazing way to stay connected to the outside world. And share things like this. These are a couple of stills from some of the animation work I've done. So it gives you a kind of example of some of the expressive typography. I mean, it's a tiny fraction, but yeah, so living life online, I get to share this, I get to be inspired, I get to learn new skills. But a few years ago, I noticed something less helpful was happening in that online life as well. My head started to feel really overwhelmed with the chaos of noisy social feeds, with their cascade of random information, all those feeds that the headlines, the articles, nothing's connected, and it's all coming in a chaotic mess towards me. And I started to feel really drowned out, and it was really anxious making. I felt confused about what story I was going to tell, what my own voice was. Actually on the verge of some quite, some depression, and I just wasn't sure where I was amongst all that opinion, confident opinion. I was losing me. It was a bit scary. So I just decided one day, I'm going to find out how to switch this off and cut through all this chaos. I began a 100 days project. Now, I don't know if any of you are familiar with 100 days, a couple of you nodding there. For those of you who don't know, it's simply to make a small piece of creative work every day for 100 days. It can be in any discipline with your creative work, drawing, painting, all sorts of stuff. This was my brief. Not very complicated, but I needed something uncomplicated without a massive agenda. And so all I did each day, I made space away from all my screens. I actually used to lift my monitor off the desk and put it on the floor, and I put my phone away, and I opened my sketchbook, and I made a small piece of typographic work by hand each day for 100 days. At first, it was just about making some space and quiet, and to spend time thinking about quotes and lyrics and my own words that I found helpful. Letting go to the slow process of making these pieces by hand, I found thoughts had the time they needed to take root. And I accessed a much better quality of thinking too. Scientific studies have proven that when you write stuff by hand, you can understand things far more effectively than simply tapping it out on a keyboard or getting busy with the thumb habit. So the project, over time, the project became a really useful way for me to visualise some of what I was discovering about what my opinions were, what I thought about stuff. And I started to give key words in the things I was writing particular visual emphasis, and that reflected their emotional meaning to me. So now, when I look at things like this piece, it triggers associations in me about my emotional state and a sense of encouragement. So I only have to look at it, and it's symbolic of loads of stuff. Over 100 days, I started to get myself back. And it turned out I did know what I wanted to say after all. And these words live on today. They're hanging in my house, and every day I have a check-in on what my values are and what my true purpose is. I love the outcome of this project. And the real magic is that since I've finished all that, I've also been sharing this in workshops, and the last couple of summers I've been over to Cardigan, and I've been hosting some lettering workshops with people from all ages and walks of life, and the stories that people come and share around the table are amazing. I'm amazed at what people are willing to share. If you just open up space, quieten down, teach people how to use the tools, the things that can happen are just beautiful. And there's one particular example I want to share with you. I'm probably going to run over now, but perhaps one of the most special people that I encountered on these workshops was a young girl from Manchester. She was 10. This is last summer, and she came along, severely dyslexic, and she bowled in. We went through the drills, and I just try and make it really inclusive, everyone can come. She just piled in, she was brilliant, and she just started writing stuff out, and I was like, this is cool. But it didn't stop there, because this summer, she and her family came back to this place for a second year running. And this girl, 11 now, she bowled in on her own without her family and sat down at the table. I said, oh, all right, nice to see you again. Do you need help? No, I'm fine. And she just picked up the tools and just started making her like mini manifestos. And you know what? She was writing these beautiful messages. This severely dyslexic girl, confident with her words and her writing, and she was making these manifestos in response to the Manchester arena bombing, messages of love and hope. And I just think, if you can give someone that kind of confidence in that circumstance, I just think that is the magic. That's the magic. Many precious stories have been shared in those times, and I suppose that brings me, wraps me back around to another way that I've been feeling the chaos lately. And we have to go a bit further back for this. Recognise this person? It's me, age 7. Proper little tomboy I was, and totally up for the adventure, and I just won that trophy in a sailing competition, just all up for it, and really excited for the adventure. A few years after this picture was taken, my mum died. And after that, I grew up with a ferocious sense of how precious and how short life can actually be. And that we must absolutely make the most of it. So from then on, I set out to live the very best life I could, saying yes to opportunity at every step. And here's where the chaos comes in. Over the years since then, up to now, it's quite a lot of years, I've gathered such a great and diverse collection of adventures that it's caused me to be confused about how they all link, how to tell that story. How do I make sense of what I've done, of what I've got? And this time the chaos wasn't coming from outside, it was entirely of my own making. So I had to try and figure this out somehow. And let's talk about comparison for a moment, living life online. I, for one, find it really difficult to not fall into the comparison trap. When everyone's presenting their best selves online, lovely profiles, polished portfolios that seem to have come from treading a very linear path, that's not me. And I look at people like that and just think, oh, have I done something wrong? Should I have done a very straight path? Should I have not done all those adventures? But in my right mind, I know that they're no more sorted than me. I know that's the truth, intellectually, but it's so hard not to compare yourself. No one has it all sorted, except maybe Stevie Wonder, but that's another talk. But the way I see it is I have to stay true to that little Lizzie who made a really clear decision in the face of the most outrageous grief to absolutely live life to the full. And I have to honour the uncluttered and uncomplicated insight that she had back then. I suspect loads of us here struggle with reconciling the diversity of our stories and wondering how they fit together coherently and point us to a really great future, especially when it's for the sake of our beautiful creative businesses. The combination of adventures and experiences we have are what make us, and they inform our problem solving. They fill us with our strange optimisms, unique to each and every one of us. And I think when we gather in places like this, give us a really collectively ambitious sense of what's possible. Or what's the point? Why do we bother turning up to something like this? So I've decided to put a stop to describing this life well lived as chaotic. I'm not exactly sure what that means at the moment, but I'm going to work on it. And I've just started another 100 Days project. On Sunday last, I worked out that it's exactly 100 days to the end of the year, and I thought, that's too weird to ignore. So we're 4 days in. Jump on board if you want, you can catch up. But I'm doing a new 100 Days project, and I'm going to mark out something each day to celebrate something of my journey to get to this point. No more letting the feelings of not good enough get me down. No more looking over to that horizon and thinking, oh, when I get over there, I will have made it. No, that's got to stop. I've realised there's always going to be a horizon. For an ideas person, there's always a horizon. And my task is to stand here right now and enjoy the view, and just be thoroughly grateful for everything I carry with me, exactly where I am today. I found nothing more powerful than my analogue habit to connect me to the true meaning and purpose in my life. And it's been my total joy to share it with you all this evening. Thank you.